is our time of corporate prayer. If you'd like to come to the front and pray, then we'll have a moment of message.
Sarah and Keith. I want to say thank you to Michelle and the Magic Tones this morning, right there. Yeah, there you go. Kelsey and the Kelsettes are still in here. That's real good. I like to see them. They're all looking really good. Oh, he's got his hooded sweatshirt on backwards. That's going to be a distraction. I'm going to look over here. This is Margie said, this would have been a good day to stay in, but her conscience would not let her. So apparently a bunch of us have really good consciences. And if somebody stayed in that's going to watch this or hear this, then that's all right. So you're here. My niece said she was going to, one, she was going to listen, and two, she was going to make sure that I was dressed properly. She is so afraid I'm going to show up at her house in shorts, black socks, and sandals. And she's afraid I'm going to preach like that sometime. So she always kind of gives me a head, my fashion consultant. Well, if you read the Bible through in a year, you'll know in October you get into the New Testament, about last of September, 1st of October. Well, this year there was a passage that just struck me. I didn't put a bee in my boot or a hornet in my hat, but it just struck me. And I thought, that is just incredible, and God wouldn't let me forget it. So when this time came up on the preaching calendar, I was thinking, well, it's December. It needs to be Christmas. And God gives me that kind of talk like, don't you think I know what I'm doing? Well, yeah, you know what. Yes, Lord, you know what you're doing. So the more I read this, the more, you know what, this turns out to be a pretty good Christmas passage. It's John chapter 2. Now, you recognize that as the first part is Jesus' first miracle at Cana. And the second part, he cleanses the temple. Now, let me just say in passing, you're familiar with the series, The Chosen. Well, somebody put on either Reels or TikTok, the guy that plays Jesus in The Chosen is walking up to the table. And they're playing they're playing, here comes the ready or not. So he's walking up there and he starts flipping tables while they play that song. And I thought, okay, that's somebody did that just for me. And I hadn't been able to find it since. So I just saw it because God was saying, see there, that's what you're going to talk about. So Jesus flips the tables, and the disciples are kind of, because they're just getting started in this. And they're looking at this like, wow. But then they remember this verse. John chapter 2, Jesus tells them in verse 16, take these things away. Do not make my Father's house a house of trade. And then the disciples start thinking. His disciples remembered that it is written, zeal for your house will consume me. And when I read that in back a couple of months ago, that just, wow, zeal for your house consumed me. Wonder when the last time was that the zeal for the house of God consumed me. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about that. And now that's from Psalm. This is how the Message translates Psalm 69:9. I love you more than I can say, because I am madly in love with you. That's the zeal of the house of the Lord consuming me. Julie's Passion Translation says, my love for you has my heart on fire. My passion consumes me for your house. Isn't it something that now at Christmas time we think about, our minds are going 50 jillion different directions. for the next couple of weeks. Kelsey looks, where'd she go? Oh, there she Kelsey looks like she is just about at her wit's end, and I mean that in a spiritual sort of way. But she is thinking about, okay, we got to get the kids here on time tonight. We got to rehearse, and we're going to practice, and we want the parents here. And you can tell, but at 7 o'clock tonight, she's going to say, Calgon, take me away. Because oh man, the kids did good, but I'm so glad it's over. And that's okay. We'll let you say that. Yeah, all right, good. But all of us have, making plans and what we're going to do. What about taking stock in zeal for the house of the Lord? Now this passage goes on, and Jesus, the Bible applies it not just to the temple, but also to Jesus himself. So we can honestly say, not just the house, but also to Jesus. Zeal for the presence of God. My love for the presence of God in my heart has consumed me so much that I can't help but get closer to him. And I just want to stay in his presence as much as possible. And I just want to sit down and rest because I can't take much more of this. How many of us are just kind of, we're looking forward to starting 2026, but we've still got a few weeks that we could, what? This is the 14th. Just a couple of weeks. A week from this coming Thursday is Christmas. Yeah, you can smile about that. That's all right. Isn't that something? Christmas is just a week and a half away. Wow. You say it like that, it just kind of hangs there. And all those plans, and school will be out for 2 whole weeks. There you go. There you go. Yeah. The kids are saying, all right. And the parents are saying, oh my gosh, 2 whole weeks. Plus a day. Monday the 5th. Plus you get an extra day. Isn't that cool? Aren't you excited? There you go. There's excitement over here. But between now and then, we have some time to think about when was the last time I honestly said to myself, the zeal for the house of the Lord consumes me. Now that passage goes on, and Paul picks that up in Romans chapter 15. And he goes on and says in verse 3 of Romans 15, the reproaches of those who reproached you fell on me. Sometimes when you're trying to be, okay, Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a good Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Christmas, whatever you want to say. And you make a choice to say Merry Christmas instead of just saying Happy Holidays. Happy Holidays is good, but Merry Christmas. When we say Merry Christmas. And people just just kind of look at you. You can tell, okay, don't need to be a Scrooge, don't need to be a Grinch. And you just kind of take that and make that, say, hey, come on. But what about December 26th? After all the holidays, after Christmas is over. And you may want to leave your Christmas decorations up till after the first. Because you just kind of, thank you. You just want to kind of ease out of it, and 2, you just don't have the energy to do it right now. So you leave them up for a couple of days, and then you go, well, we gotta take this down. But what about, when was the last time that you said to yourself, I love God more than I can? Now I know we do the things of Christmas all year long. We bring cheer and we share, and Rick talked about the things that the church did, and all of those are just things that our church does naturally. You could even say supernatural. But it's good to know the reason, and it is because God is in my heart so much that I can't help but speak about it. I can't help but do something good for somebody. I can't help but minister. I can't help. I've got to do something. When I see a need, you do it. When you see somebody that needs a little bit of help, you do it. When you see Benny with his, whether it's a top hat or a taco hat or a sombrero or whatever, sitting in a pack-a-sack and collecting money for the Rainbow Room, you give, okay, I'm going to give a couple bucks. I'm going to give a $5 or whatever it is. And you know that you're kind of on the watch to help somebody. You're sensitive to it. And you go and you're going to pay for your meal, and you say, let me go ahead and get theirs too, because I just want. You don't make a big deal about it. You don't advertise. You don't put on Facebook, for the 12th time this month, I have bought somebody's meal at Texas Road. Isn't that good of me? Here I am. Look at me. We do that, but we don't advertise it. We don't want it. And sometimes you just don't want everybody to know. That's why when we're there and somebody says, your meal is paid for, who did it? I can't tell you. You go to Texas Rose and somebody buys your meal, there's a good chance it counts. Just want to tell you. So I'm just saying. But any time that you are ministering just because you are ministering out with a compassionate heart, because you love God more than words. Now we know what it's like to have an appreciation for a place to worship. Marcus has a picture he's going to put up in a minute. We've all seen sanctuaries decorated, sanctuaries like this with tall ceilings, sanctuaries with drop ceilings. We've seen there's several in town, and places that we've been or like First Dallas or something that you've seen and say, oh man, look at that. That is just an incredible, absolute incredible building. And Shadow Mountain and all the places that you've seen sanctuary that, look at that. I was asked to help with the Vacation Bible School. They asked me to help with the recreation. This was a few years ago in Colorado. It rained the week of Vacation Bible School. Hadn't rained for 6 months, but it rained in Vacation Bible School. Well, we're going to have to move recreation inside. So we're in the sanctuary. And one of the ladies says, don't run. This is recreation. Part of it is to run because they've been getting red Kool-Aid. Somebody had the bright idea to give them chocolate chip cookies and red Kool-Aid, so they need to run a little bit. It's not during the service, so it's okay. And it was like she was almost twitchy, and her eye almost twitched, because kids aren't supposed to run in the sanctuary. Well, this is the best we can, because they can't run in the rain and get mud and track it in. Then you would be mad. We've got to kind of adapt and overcome and stuff. But and this is, got it decorated, incredible, it's beautiful. All the decorations, and wait till you see the center. It's just going to be incredible. But what about going to church at this place? Isn't that great? Wouldn't you love to be in a church right there? Work with me here, Peggy. But wouldn't that be an incredible place to just meet with the people that could fit in those pews and stand around. I bet the power of God has fallen in that place countless number of times. But I bet also we all know somebody. They're not in this room, but we all know somebody on a good day when it's nice outside who wouldn't go to a place like that for whatever reason, for a brush arbor meeting or for a revival or just somebody say, hey, let's go out and have dinner on the ground. We're gonna have the service there. Zeal for the house of God consumes me for that place too, because God is going to be there. Do you know why God's going to be there? Because his people are there. Because his people are going to be there. God's going to be there, and that's a place that you want to be. That's what makes coming to wherever, whether it's a sanctuary like this or the center or on the playground or in a brush arbor or you name it. When we're together, God is there. And that's the main thing. And that's the key to this. And that's the key to Christmas. It's not just the presents and the decorations and the plays and the programs and all of those things. It is the power of a living Lord at work in our hearts to the point that we say, it's Christmas. I'm remembering that God became flesh and dwelt among us. That's a time for celebration, y'all. That's a time to say, wow. This is, yeah, there you go. Go ahead. That's the reason for this holiday. But we do this, we celebrate every day. When you talk to somebody and you say, where do you worship? Where do you go to church? Well, I go to church anywhere. I can worship wherever I am. Yeah, that sounds really good. But when you corporate worship with a group of people, where do you go? Oh, I don't need to go anywhere. I'm just going to say this, and then we're going to move on. But a Christian saying they don't necessarily attend church regularly, that's not a sign of maturity. That's a sign of immaturity. And that's just the truth. Because the closer you get to God, the closer you want to get to Him and His people. And whatever the occasion, you want to be there because that's what I need to do, because I love God more than I can say. During our Wednesday night praise and worship and prayer meeting, we've been asking a couple of questions. And I'm going to ask them again. When you come in corporate worship, come to a church service, do you expect to hear from God? Do you expect something to happen? Would you be satisfied if you didn't hear from God personally? Or really, if nobody heard from God, would that really matter? And is there something that you don't expect God to do at a given service anyway? So you're not disappointed when nothing happens because you don't expect anything to happen anyway. The closer you get and the more time you spend, and as you, especially during a time of year like this, and you say, oh, I got so many things to do for Christmas. But also remember The zeal for the house of God is overwhelmingly consuming me. I love God more than I can say, and I love His people more than words can express. I know, and I'm disappointed in myself about this, I don't tell you that nearly enough. That we love you guys. We love you. Everybody in this room, we love this church. And we appreciate being on mission together. Sally and I, the elders, the deacons, more than words can say. And I'm making a resolution to tell you that more. Because I know over the past year, I don't know how many times I've said it in a public setting like this, but I know it hadn't been nearly enough. I tell Sally I love her. I need to tell you I love you. We all know it's kind of love and all that. But, I mean, I love chocolate-covered peanuts, my pickup, and Sally, but not necessarily in that order. But I love you guys. I love the kids with the backwards hoodies. The kids with the big old possum-eating grin on their face. And the folks sitting back there that are just saying, you know, when was the last time I said the zeal for the house of the Lord is consumed me? Somebody is saying, somebody's been asking themselves that question. And that's good. That's God. That's the power of God. If it wasn't, it wouldn't have stuck with you this long. If you're still asking yourself, when was the last time I said, zeal for the house of the Lord has consumed me? If that's stuck with you this long, that is the power of God. All I did was read the passage and been talking about it for a few minutes. But if it's still with you, the power of God's working in you. And He may be asking you some serious questions. He may be talking to you about those questions that I mentioned. When was the last time you expected something to hear from God? Is there something that you don't expect God to do so you're not disappointed when it doesn't happen? Maybe it's time we all took stock and we all said in our hearts, my love for you has my heart on fire. My passion consumes me for your house. Let's pray together. Lord, thank you. Thank you for this time. Thank you so much for this occasion, this opportunity to talk about and to see the text where the disciples recognized and remembered your word. Zeal for the house of the Lord. Help each of us to think about that. Help each of us to ask ourselves, when was the last time I said that? And is there a reason that I haven't said it in ever how long it's been? Lord, maybe it's time that all of us need to take stock and all of us need to say, God, during this holiday season, maybe now's a good time to say, my love for you is overwhelming. And I look forward to attending and going and doing whatever you ask me to do and being in service on mission together. Lord, help us, speak to us during this time of invitation and help all of us to look to you and make a decision that we need to make. In Jesus' name, amen. So during this song, you may need to, in your taking stock, you may want to come up and pray. You may want to ask somebody to pray with you. You may just want to think about it where you're standing or sitting, whatever you're going to do during this invitation. But if God's telling you, you need to go to the altar, now's a good time to come to the altar. If God says, I want you to talk to Les, I want you to talk to Rick, the Bob. I want you to interrupt. I want you to go to Talma or Lewis. I want you to come up and talk to Guy and say, I want you to go over and talk to Peggy. And if God's saying something, you do what He asked you to do, and I cannot begin to tell you what He's going to do next. Let's go, folks. Everybody stand, please. Amen. Amen.
Lord, I ask that you just help us to be thinking about this, go about our week, and how it applies to our everyday life. Once again, thank you, and help us go back out the doors, back into the world. Jesus.
Let's join hands and sing The Family of God.
Jesus.